The discovery. The quantum sensors aboard the Zetherian research vessel Eternal Seeker had never registered anything like it. Chief Observer Nixis, her crystalline form shimmering with confusion, called her fellow scientists to examine the anomalous readings emanating from the unremarkable spiral arm of the Milky Way. "Impossible," whispered Second Observer Feel, his energy matrices fluctuating with disbelief. "These patterns suggest they've survived 17 extinction-level events in their evolutionary history." The team of researchers had been conducting their standard galactic survey when they detected unusual energy signatures from a small blue planet. What started as routine observation quickly evolved into the most significant discovery in Zetherian history. Nixis adjusted her consciousness to better process the data streams. The planet's dominant species, these humans, had faced catastrophes that would have eliminated most civilizations: massive asteroid impacts, supervolcanic eruptions, global ice ages, and countless pandemics. Yet somehow, they endured. "Look at this," Veal projected, sharing a temporal analysis. "After each catastrophe, they don't just survive. They emerge stronger, more adaptable, more innovative." The data showed humanity's remarkable tendency to transform disasters into catalysts for advancement. The Zetherian High Council received their initial report with skepticism. "You suggest this pre-FTL species warrants special observation?" questioned High Counselor Zena, her ancient consciousness radiating doubt. "With respect, Counselor," Nixis responded, "these humans exhibit qualities we've never encountered in our 50,000 years of galactic observation." She projected a series of images. Humans rebuilding cities from ashes, developing vaccines in record time, turning nuclear disasters into wildlife sanctuaries. "But what truly sets them apart," she continued, "is their response to failure. When most species retreat from catastrophe, humans seem to treat it as a challenge. They don't just adapt, they innovate. They don't just survive, they thrive." The council chamber hummed with intense deliberation. This was unprecedented. The Zetherians had documented the rise and fall of countless civilizations across the galaxy. Some were destroyed by natural disasters. Others succumbed to their own technological advancement. A few even achieved space travel, but none had shown this remarkable resilience. "There's more," Veal added, his energy patterns pulsing with excitement. "Their neural architecture is unique. While individually their brains are unremarkable, their collective problem-solving abilities exceed anything our predictive models can explain. They somehow become more than the sum of their parts." The observations continued for what humans would call months. The Zetherians watched as communities recovered from devastating storms, as nations rebuilt after conflicts, as global challenges were met with unprecedented cooperation and innovation. "Most fascinating," noted senior analyst Cree, "is their ability to imagine possibilities beyond their current reality. They dream of things that don't exist, then work to make them real. It defies rational analysis." The evidence was compelling enough that the High Council authorized the deployment of their most advanced observation platforms. Cloaked satellites were positioned throughout the solar system, monitoring everything from social media traffic to genetic adaptation rates. What they discovered shook the foundations of Zetherian scientific understanding. Humans possessed an inexplicable ability to exceed their theoretical limitations. When faced with impossible odds, they didn't calculate probability. They rewrote the rules. They shouldn't have survived the Great Impact, Nixis explained to the Council, or the Ice Age, or the Bronze Age collapse, or any of the thousands of other catastrophes. Yet here they are, reaching for the stars, despite having barely mastered their own planet. The Council's decision was unanimous. For the first time in Zetherian history, a pre-FTL species would be designated for special observation. But as the research team prepared for long-term study, they detected something troubling. They weren't the only ones watching Earth. In the darkness between worlds, other civilizations had noticed humanity's potential. Some watched with curiosity, others with concern, and a few with dangerous interest. The Zetherians realized their discovery had inadvertently placed humanity at a crucial turning point. As their observation ships maintained their vigil, Nixus couldn't shake the feeling that they were witnessing the beginning of something unprecedented in galactic history. The question wasn't just whether humanity would survive their next challenge. It was whether the galaxy was ready for what humans might become. The High Council's final report contained a warning that would echo through the corridors of power across the galaxy. In all our millennia of observation, we have never encountered a species more likely to reshape the fundamental nature of civilization itself. Whether this represents an unprecedented opportunity or an existential threat remains to be determined. But one thing is certain: humanity cannot be ignored. The stage was set for a galactic drama unlike any before, with humanity unknowingly at its center. And in the vast darkness of space, ancient powers began to move, drawn to the remarkable species that refused to accept the impossible. The test. The Galactic Council's Grand Chamber had never been this crowded. Representatives from 17 advanced civilizations gathered to address what had become known as the human question. The Zetherians' discovery had sparked intense debate about how to properly evaluate humanity's potential. Observation alone is insufficient, declared Archmind Kilara of the Synthetics Collective, her holographic form pulsing with calculated precision. We must understand how they respond to controlled variables. The Council's decision was swift but controversial. Earth would become the subject of the most comprehensive species evaluation in galactic history. Multiple civilizations would conduct subtle tests, each designed to measure different aspects of human capability. The Myslics, masters of biological engineering, were the first to begin their trial. They introduced an engineered virus that should have devastated Earth's wheat crops. The humans' response left them stunned. Remarkable, reported lead researcher Spora, her fungal networks vibrating with excitement. Instead of surrendering to famine, they developed drought-resistant variants within a single growing season. Their agricultural scientists made evolutionary leaps that should have taken centuries. The Quantarians, beings of pure energy, tested human technological adaptability. They introduced subtle quantum fluctuations into Earth's communications networks, expecting years of disruption. Instead, human engineers interpreted the interference as a new phenomenon, using it to develop more efficient communication protocols. They turned our test into a tool, admitted Quantarian Observer Prime, their energy signature flickering with what might have been embarrassment. They didn't just solve the problem. They'd weaponized the solution. But it was the Mindweaver's test that truly revealed humanity's unique nature. These ancient psychic entities attempted to subtly influence human dreams, planting suggestions of impossible technological advances. The results were unexpected, reported High Weaver Thulixi, their telepathic voice trembling. They didn't just accept the impossible ideas, they improved upon them. Their dream state creativity exceeds anything we've encountered in 50,000 years of species observation. The Zetherian observation team, led by Nixus, compiled the results. Humans exhibited an almost paradoxical combination of traits: individual fragility paired with collective resilience, technological limitations overcome by boundless creativity, and most surprisingly, an ability to turn adversity into advantage. Look at this pattern, Veal demonstrated to the Council, projecting a complex matrix of human responses. When faced with a problem that should be beyond their capabilities, they don't follow expected problem-solving protocols. They imagine solutions that shouldn't be possible, then somehow make them work. The testing revealed another unexpected trait. Humans seemed to perform best when they didn't know they were being tested. Their natural responses to challenges consistently exceeded their performance under controlled conditions. It's as if, theorized senior analyst Cree, their potential is actually limited by their awareness of limitations. When they don't know something is impossible, they achieve it anyway. But not all observers were impressed. The mechanoids, a species that had long since abandoned biological form for machine efficiency, issued a warning. This unpredictability represents a potential threat. Their consensus matrix declared, "A species that doesn't follow logical progression patterns cannot be reliably predicted or controlled." The debate intensified when the humans began exhibiting signs of detecting the tests themselves. Internet forums filled with theories about crop pattern changes and communication anomalies. Instead of panic, however, these discussions sparked waves of innovation as humans try to explain and exploit what they were observing. "They're turning our evaluation into an opportunity," Nixis reported, her crystalline form shimmering with what might have been admiration. "Every probe we send, every test we conduct, pushes them to evolve faster." The Council faced an unprecedented situation. The species they were testing was unconsciously using their tests as catalysts for advancement. Some members argued for immediate cessation of all trials, fearing they were accidentally accelerating human development beyond safe parameters. But before they could reach a decision, alarms echoed through the Grand Chamber. Long-range sensors detected multiple vessels entering the solar system's outer bounds. The energy signatures were unmistakable. The Harvesters, a species known for exploiting developing civilizations, had arrived. As the Council erupted in chaos, Nixis shared a knowing look with her research team. The true test of humanity was about to begin. Not one carefully designed by advanced civilizations, but a brutal challenge of survival against a force that had ended countless promising species. The question was no longer whether humans were special, but whether their unique qualities would be enough to face what was coming. As the Harvester ships moved closer to Earth, the galaxy's most powerful civilizations found themselves in an unprecedented position, watching, waiting, and though few would admit it, hoping humanity would once again prove impossible odds wrong. The crisis. The Harvester fleet materialized at the edge of the Kuiper Belt, their biomechanical ships darkening the void. Known throughout the galaxy as civilization enders, the Harvesters had perfected the art of stripping developing worlds of resources, both material and biological. "Your observation experiment ends now," declared Harvester Prime through the Council's quantum channels. "This world falls within our ancient rights of acquisition." The Galactic Council's emergency session dissolved into chaos. The Zetherians' observation platforms recorded the Harvesters' methodical approach, while Nixis and her team frantically compiled their research. "We can't intervene directly," High Counselor Zena stated, her crystalline form dim with concern. "The laws of development are absolute." But as the Council debated, humanity did something unexpected. They noticed. Earth's most advanced sensors detected anomalous objects decelerating through the outer solar system. Instead of panic, the response was unprecedented. Within hours, governments worldwide began sharing classified aerospace technology. Private space companies opened their research databases. The entire species seemed to shift into high gear. "Fascinating," Veal observed, monitoring global communications. "They've moved from competition to collaboration without centralized direction. It's as if they instinctively know they need to unite." The Harvesters launched their standard opening move, a targeted electromagnetic pulse designed to cripple planetary communications. They'd used this strategy to devastate countless civilizations. But humans had already built resilience into their systems through decades of preparing for such scenarios. More importantly, they'd done something the Harvesters hadn't encountered before. They'd created redundancy through diversity. "Impossible," growled Harvester Prime as Earth's communications grid reconfigured itself. "Their technology isn't advanced enough for this." The truth was both simpler and more complex. Humans hadn't developed advanced EMP-resistant technology. Instead, they created thousands of different communication systems. When one failed, 3 more took its place. Amateur radio operators connected military bases. Civilian satellite networks rerouted military communications. The entire planet became a living example of adaptability through chaos. "Look at this," Nixis called to her team. "They're not just resisting. They're learning from each attack." The humans were analyzing the Harvesters' electromagnetic weapons and developing countermeasures in real time. The harvesters launched their second wave, biological weapons that had ended civilizations far more advanced than Earth. But they'd never encountered a species that had spent centuries preparing for doomsday scenarios. Every nation had pandemic protocols. Every research lab had experience with rapid vaccine development. What should have been devastating merely accelerated human biotechnology. "They're using our weapons' molecular structure to advance their own research," reported a stunned harvester scientist. This isn't supposed to be possible." The council watched in amazement as humanity demonstrated why their response to the earlier tests had been so unique. They didn't just solve problems, they transformed them into opportunities. When the harvesters deployed autonomous combat drones, they expected easy victory against a pre-FTL civilization. Instead, they faced a species that had been imagining and preparing for robot attacks through decades of science fiction. Human hackers, armed with centuries of fictional robot apocalypse scenarios, found weaknesses no other species had conceived. The evidence was irrefutable. The harvester crisis had demonstrated that humanity's response to existential threats wasn't mere survival, it was transformation. Each challenge they faced alone had pushed them to reimagine what was possible. Consider the mathematics, Archmind Kilora projected. Their rate of innovation increases exponentially under pressure. But more importantly, they innovate in directions we cannot predict. They aren't climbing the technological ladder, they're building new ladders we never conceived. The protocol's second directive addressed the deeper truth the Council had discovered. Humanity wasn't being protected for their own sake, but for the galaxy's future. "We're not guarding a developing species," senior analyst Cree explained, displaying complex temporal projections. "We're preserving a catalyst for galactic evolution." The Council had recognized that humanity possessed something unique, the ability to transform impossibility into opportunity. Where other species saw barriers, humans saw challenges. Where others sought stability, humans pursued transformation. The Mindweavers shared their most startling discovery. Humans didn't just solve problems, they reimagined reality itself. Their collective consciousness somehow generated possibilities that shouldn't exist. Then their determination made these possibilities real. "They're not bound by our understanding of limitations," Observer Prime of the Quantarians pulsed excitedly. "They don't just think outside the box, they question why the box exists, then build something entirely different." The protocol's final directive was its most controversial. Any civilization that achieved first contact with humanity must share all knowledge gained from the interaction with the Council. Not to control humanity, but to understand how they were reshaping the fundamental nature of civilization itself. "We're witnessing something unprecedented," Veal reported, displaying data from Earth's ongoing development. They've begun incorporating their theoretical breakthroughs from the harvester crisis into their everyday technology. Their understanding of quantum mechanics, biotechnology, and artificial intelligence is evolving in ways our models can't predict. The implications were both exciting and terrifying. Humanity wasn't just advancing, they were accelerating. Each discovery led to 3 more. Each solution opened new possibilities. They weren't following the normal path of civilization development. They were forging something entirely new. The protected species classification, High Counselor Zena explained, isn't about shielding humanity from harm. It's about preserving their unique way of transforming the impossible into the inevitable. As the protocol was formally adopted, the Council established observation posts throughout the solar system, not to watch for threats to humanity, but to study how humanity's continued evolution might transform galactic civilization itself. "We're not protecting them from the galaxy," Nixis concluded in her final report. "We're protecting the galaxy's potential to become something greater through their influence." The evidence was already emerging. Human fiction was being studied by advanced civilizations for its imaginative problem-solving approaches. Their art was being analyzed for its ability to conceive new possibilities. Their music was being examined for its capacity to convey complex emotional concepts across species barriers. But most significantly, their method of turning crises into catalysts for advancement was beginning to influence how other civilizations approached challenges. The Human Protection Protocol wasn't just a shield. It was an investment in the galaxy's future. As Earth continued its isolated development, unaware of the profound impact they were having on galactic civilization, the Council's decision was proving prophetic. Humanity wasn't just another species to be preserved. They were a force for transformation in a galaxy that had grown too comfortable with its limitations. The final entry in the protocol stated it simply: "We protect humanity not because they need our protection, but because we need their inspiration. In their dreams of impossible futures, we see glimpses of what the galaxy might become. In their refusal to accept limitations, we find hope for breaking through our own." They are protected not as a developing species, but as the potential architects of a civilization greater than any we have imagined. And so, as humanity reached for the stars, unaware of their protected status, they were already changing the galaxy that watched and waited for the moment they would take their place among the civilizations they had unknowingly transformed. The Mindweaver's representative, still unsettled by their earlier attempts to influence human dreams, shared their own disturbing conclusion. They possess what we can only term collective quantum creativity. Their shared imagination somehow generates possibilities that should not exist, and then their determination makes these possibilities real. The debate intensified as the implications became clear. Humanity wasn't just another emerging civilization. They were something entirely new. Their ability to transform threats into opportunities, to compress centuries of development into moments of crisis, and to unite despite their differences made them unique in galactic history. Consider the pattern. Senior analyst Cree demonstrated. The Harvester's electromagnetic pulse led to humans developing quantum-resistant communications. Their biological weapons accelerated human genetic engineering. Their autonomous drones resulted in humans creating artificial intelligence safeguards we hadn't even conceived. The mechanoid's consensus matrix sparked with concern. They are an aberration. Their development cannot be predicted or controlled. This makes them a potential threat to galactic stability. But the Quantarians disagreed. They are not an aberration. Their observer prime pulsed. They are an evolution. Perhaps the first genuine evolution of consciousness we've encountered in 50,000 years of observation. The chamber erupted in debate. Some argued for immediate containment protocols. Others advocated for accelerated first contact. A few even suggested that humanity might represent the next stage of cosmic development. Then High Counselor Zena shared something that silenced the chamber: a temporal analysis of Earth's probable futures. In every scenario, she explained, her form dimming with the weight of the revelation, humanity either becomes a force for unprecedented positive change in the galaxy, or— she paused, her crystalline structure flickering with concern. "Or what?" demanded the mechanoid representative. "Or they surpass us all," she finished quietly. There is no middle ground. Their rate of advancement, especially under pressure, suggests they will either become the galaxy's greatest allies or— she left the alternative unspoken. The implications were staggering. The gathered civilizations, some millions of years old, faced a choice they'd never encountered before. How does one handle a species that transforms faster than they can be studied? A species that treats impossibility as a temporary inconvenience? "We must recognize," Nixis stated, her voice carrying across the chamber, "that we are not deciding whether to protect humanity. We are deciding whether to protect the galaxy's future by ensuring humanity has the space to develop naturally, without interference that might alter their unique path." The council members grappled with this new perspective. The traditional metrics for evaluating species development were useless here. Humanity's potential couldn't be measured because they kept redefining what potential meant. As the debate continued, evidence mounted that Earth was already changing in response to the recent crisis. Humans were incorporating their theoretical breakthroughs into everyday technology. Their understanding of quantum mechanics, biotechnology, and artificial intelligence was advancing at rates that defy prediction. "We don't have the luxury of extended deliberation," High Counselor Zena announced. "Every moment we debate, they evolve. We must decide now. How do we protect a species that has demonstrated they can protect themselves? More importantly, how do we ensure their development benefits all of galactic civilization?" The answer would reshape the galaxy's future. But first, the Council had to acknowledge a humbling truth. They weren't just protecting humanity. They were protecting the possibility of what humanity might help them all become. The Protocol. The Galactic Council's decision was unprecedented in its scope and implications. After 3 cycles of intense deliberation, they established what would become known as the Human Protection Protocol, though its true purpose wasn't quite what its name suggested. "Let the record show," High Counselor Zena declared, her crystalline form blazing with historic purpose, "that as of this moment, humanity is classified as an essential species under Article 7 of the Galactic Charter, but not for the reasons many assume." The Protocol's first directive shocked even its authors. Earth was to be protected not from destruction, but from premature contact. The Council had realized something profound. Humanity's isolation was the source of their greatest strength. "We protect them," Nixus explained to the assembled representatives, "by allowing them to face challenges on their own terms. Their greatest advances come not from being handed solutions, but from having to imagine them into existence. They're using stories as battle plans," Kree observed incredulously. "Their imagination has become a strategic asset." But the Harvesters had ended thousands of civilizations. They wouldn't be stopped easily. They launched their final strategy, a direct assault on Earth's largest population centers. The response shocked even the Council's most optimistic observers. Humans didn't just fight back. They innovated at an unprecedented rate. Civilian engineers repurposed industrial lasers into defense weapons. Quantum physicists working on teleportation theories suddenly made breakthroughs in shield technology. Every attack seemed to unlock human potential that should have taken centuries to develop. "This defies all known models of species development," Nixus reported to the Council. "They're compressing centuries of technological advancement into days." The Harvester Prime, facing resistance unlike anything in their ancient history, made a fatal mistake. They threatened to target Earth's children. The human response transcended anything the Council had ever witnessed. The entire species shifted into what observers could only describe as controlled fury. Innovation rates doubled. Military effectiveness tripled. The entire planet seemed to operate with a single purpose: protect the young at all costs. "We're detecting quantum fluctuations that shouldn't be possible from their level of technology," reported a Quantarian observer. "It's as if their sheer determination is warping physical laws." The Harvesters, for the first time in their long history of conquest, began to retreat. But humans weren't finished. They'd learned from each attack, adapted the technology, and prepared a counter-offensive that stunned the watching galaxy. As the Harvester fleet began its withdrawal, they faced weapons based on their own technology, improved by human innovation, and powered by a resolve they'd never encountered. "We should have heeded the warning signs," Harvester Prime transmitted in their final message before fleeing. "Any species that turns fiction into technology, imagination into weapons, and threats into opportunities, they're not prey. They're something else entirely." The Council chamber fell silent as the implications became clear. They hadn't just witnessed a species defending itself. They'd watched humanity demonstrate why they would need protection, not for their own sake, but for the sake of any species that underestimated them. The crisis was ending, but its true significance was just becoming apparent. Humanity hadn't just survived. They'd revealed themselves to be something unprecedented in galactic history, and now the Council had to decide what to do about it. The recognition. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council had never felt more charged with tension. Representatives from every major spacefaring civilization gathered to address what many were now calling the human phenomenon. The recent defeat of the Harvesters had shaken the fundamental assumptions of galactic civilization. Let us begin with the facts. High Counselor Xena announced, her crystalline form radiating grave authority. A pre-FTL species has just defeated one of the galaxy's most ancient civilizations using technology they shouldn't have been able to comprehend, let alone replicate and improve upon. The chamber's quantum displays filled with data from the conflict. Each piece of evidence seemed more impossible than the last. Humans reverse engineering advanced technology through intuitive leaps, developing countermeasures to weapons they'd never encountered, and most significantly, advancing their civilization by centuries in a matter of weeks. Our models weren't wrong. Archmind Kilara of the Synthetics Collective stated, her holographic form flickering with calculation patterns. They were incomplete. We've been measuring advancement through a lens of logical progression. Humans don't follow logical progression. Nyxus stepped forward to present her research team's findings. Consider this analysis, she projected, showing a complex matrix of human response patterns. When most species encounter an insurmountable obstacle, they either retreat or expire. Humans transform. The evidence was compelling. During the Harvester crisis, humans had demonstrated abilities that defied conventional understanding. They'd turned theoretical physics into practical weapons, converted entertainment media into military strategies, and most remarkably, adapted their entire civilization's direction in a matter of days. But what truly sets them apart, Veal added, is their method of advancement. They don't just solve problems, they revolutionize their understanding of reality itself. Each challenge doesn't just make them stronger, it fundamentally changes what they believe is possible.